Okay.
I just started it. How you
Cool.
doing?
All right, no problem.
You see the
It
you see the title of the live, right?
what's the title of it called?
Title is "What's Going On" or "What's Up with Nathaniel and IUIC." Right?
Right.
This is what we wanted to.
Cool. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, awesome.
Did you get to see?
My first question to you though,
Mhm.
what is the parallels do you see with this event and with your past experience with the IUJC? Um, you know,
I
you
see
know the
DJC.
right.
Yeah, I mean, they're very similar, and I mean, they all. I think all the groups make a big deal out of the Passover, but
Hmm.
the way that Tazadakia used to, manage the Passover and make sure, it just the appearance of it was a certain way, is very similar to Nathaniel. Bishop Nathaniel is what his title is. What he goes by to the members, how he's known to these members. Um, I think that they're the ones he's made the best of promoting this whole movement of the Black Hebrew Israelite in this time right now that we live in 2023, where there is no Tazadakia anymore. He's dead. Um,
Hmm.
and there aren't really any other groups that are at the level or at the membership level, at least, of the IUIC, other than groups like GOCC, maybe. And Sakari's up there too. Sakari's pretty well known, but the IUIC has this appeal that's similar to the ICGJC, where they try to appeal to Christians by
Hmm.
pretty much targeting them. Um, they IUIC goes out to like Christian churches and camps out in front of the churches, and starts, and protests and stuff, and like they did in Oklahoma. I don't know if you see what happened in Oklahoma. Um, they were pretty much taken to court by a pastor, a Christian pastor, for harassment, I think it was, or something like that.
Hmm.
They were trying to get this what's it called? Uh, 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 order of not an order of protection. Like they pretty much had to stay away from the campgrounds or from the church grounds, church property. They were trying to get them to do that legally, and they lost. Actually, IUIC won in court because they
Hmm.
were claiming, which it looked like they were on public property, protesting with signs up. Every time a driver came up, they would be like, "Shame, shame, shame." Every time a member like drove up past where they were out at. IUIC is trying to make real big moves to be like the face of the Hebrew Israelite community, which is what Tazadaki was trying to do with the ICGJC. You know,
Hmm.
but he failed miserably. He was headed in that direction. Like
Yeah, he was.
members and the ICGJC were one of the first ones before IUIC. The ICGJC was the first ones that I've seen with like the garments, the ranking garments, like um other, like GMS, they don't have ranking garments where everybody wears the same garment if they're like of a certain rank. Like I don't even think they have a ranking structure like that in any other like group like that. I mean, they'll label
The
as elders, but like having a
the
bishop and things like that,
mhm.
ICC had ranks like that too. But yeah.
The UPK has ranks though.
Oh yeah, I see. ISUPK has ranks, and they get pretty elaborate with the garments, but they don't have ranking garments.
No,
The
no.
IUIC has all of that, and they got the. I mean, did you see videos of the 2023 Passover IUIC?
Yeah, it looks like a damn space age film or
Yeah,
something.
that's exactly what Tazadaki was doing. It's weird. It's almost as if these two guys were on the same page, like talking to each other back in the days or something. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm not saying it didn't either, but he could have probably just learned off of what Tazadaki was doing and kind of copied and made the best of his situation and his group, and took the best, took the good out of what ICGJC was doing. And of course, they have they have the different teachings. But
Hmm.
there's also another thing that's common, that I find a correlation, is that they both go by the church name, where they say that they're in Christ. There's no other group that does that besides the ICGJC and the IUIC. So that's why I find it real it's a coincidence that they both want to use that in Christ title, like the Church of God in Christ, which is a historical black church.
Do you think that's a way to get some government funding?
I'm sure they get government funding. Like, he's
I
smart.
mean, that's a tactic I think that they use to get some type of 501c a three thing or something.
Like, just, you mean like the name IUIC in Christ? That's because they
Well,
have
in
in Christ,
yeah,
because they use the name Jesus Christ. Yeah, I could see that. But I think if
yeah,
they still went by the name,
Church of Christ, something like that. Blah blah blah.
well, the ISUPK changed the name to ICUPK before they became the ICGJC. I'm
Hmm.
talking about the original, not these other cats today. What's up, Cena? How you doing? I just watched your one of your videos on Facebook. She's doing big things, Cena. She's a former ICGJC member who's the
Hmm.
stepdaughter of Raban. If you ever heard of her, um,
Hmm.
he's promoting real good stuff now. Financial independence and a bunch of stuff. So check her out on Facebook. Cena Martin is doing good things. Big,
Awesome, awesome,
yeah. So the
awesome.
ICJC is weird how they use that, just like the IUIC, that in Christ. But in 1997, that when they were known as the ICUPK, the ICGJC, before they changed the name in like '03, I think, or '02, whenever they made that change. It might have been '01, um, to ICGJC, Israelite Church of God in Jesus Christ. They were known as the Israeli Church of Universal Practical Knowledge.
Practical knowledge,
Right.
right?
So changed the ISUPK, which was Israeli School, to church. So now I think that was the move, when that, because that was when they applied for the 501c3 license, was
Hmm.
change the name to Israeli Church instead of school. So
Hmm.
might got there might be something there for sure. But there's evidence of that. You can look up. That's all public records.
Yeah, yeah. I figured that when they say in Christ or Israelite God and Jesus Christ or
Yeah,
something like that,
yeah,
that's a tactic to get some government benefits or something like
yeah. I think so. Sure, I see that for sure. Uh,
taxable type stuff.
yeah, that's when they are tax exempt. That's when you become a tax exempt organization.
Right.
Tax exempt organization. Pretty much, you don't got to pay taxes,
Hmm.
which is crazy. I think they need to stop that, because that's a loophole in the system where
Well,
yeah,
that's why like you got all these bad in the neighborhoods and stuff because these churches are not being taxed.
right, and they get all this money because a lot of them ask for tithing. Like that church
Hmm.
that the IUIC went to court with, that church, that Christian church, they do tithing, and the IUIC was getting on them for that. Um,
Hmm.
but I think that IUIC is real slick, because they do take money. There are payments that's supposed to be made. Well, actually, I don't think it's mandatory, but they don't label it as tithing. It's like
Hmm.
nations or something. Because I have a
Hmm.
cousin that's in the IUIC. He's like he's older than me, and he used to be in the ISUPK in the '90s, and he knew Tazadakia very well, which is crazy
Hmm.
to me, because that shit. It just so happened that I came in that church later on, and it's like, it's crazy that happened. But I mean, my cousins. I have two cousins in the Israelite movement. One in the IUIC, one in the ICGJC, and a bunch of second cousins. My cousins' kids and shit in the
Hmm.
ICGJC. So that's just something, I don't know why that just runs in my family, because I was in there too. Um, It's weird.
Yeah, I think you had I thought you had a cousin, a female cousin involved, right?
Yeah, she's the one up.
Did she marry Tazadak? I don't mean to make up rumors or anything.
No, no, no. But you know what? No, that she didn't. But before she married, because she was actually her marriage was like an arranged marriage in a way, because the dude that she was courting wanted to quit the courtship, and then um Tazadake didn't allow it. He like told them like they got to get together, like this is like what's wrong. Like he questioned him and kind of pushed him into marrying her because he felt like it wasn't justified or something for him to end the courtship, because in the ICGJC, and I think the IUIC does the same thing, where you can't just get a sister and just try to wife somebody up. It has to be approved by the ranking structure. So
Wow.
the church is like that besides the IUIC and the ICGJC, as far as organization and the structure. Those two, I see a lot of similarities there. You know,
Yeah.
I actually seen Bishop Nathanyel at the Albany airport like 3 years ago, man, or 4 years ago, I think it was.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was before COVID, so it was like 4 years ago. It must have been 2019. I was working as a traveling medical records auditor, and
Hmm.
my job would send me to upstate New York and to New York City and all over Florida to different
Hmm.
medical offices. And one day they sent me to Albany, and I'm waiting at the Enterprise for my car rental, and I'm setting all that up, and it's like it's right inside of the airport in Albany, and right where the checkout, like the bags, come out at, and I turn to the side and I see Nathaniel with his wife, or I don't know if one of his wives or whatever. Well, actually, that I don't think they believe in that. That's one thing that's different from ICG. I don't think that they could have multiple wives in there, even though the
Hmm.
ICJC used to kind of promote. They promoted it, or they at least accepted it, but they didn't really promote it. They felt like, nah, if you ain't, that's not a thing that we really want to do at this time. But it was like it wasn't something that you get condemned for. But no, at the Albany airport, I see Nathaniel with his wife and two kids, I believe, or it was three kids.
Hmm.
There was definitely a boy and a girl. They looked like they were in their early teens, and I just found it crazy. It was just a crazy coincidence, and I'm like, I know that's Nathaniel. Like, I know who that is, and I got I got a short video of him because I didn't want to be all up in his face. I was gonna record and talk to him and stuff, while I'm recording. But I was like, nah,
Hmm.
you know what? He's with his family. I was like, let me not even do that. Plus, I had to go. But I caught a little video of him because I wanted to show somebody that was in the
Hmm.
IPAC. And that dude is crazy that I sent the video to of Bishop Nathaniel. Because that dude
Hmm.
started thinking like, yo, I think San Miguel's an agent, man. Because I just so happened to be at the airport and saw him. And I'm not an Israelite. I don't preach it. I speak against all of that crap now. So
Oh.
going on that crazy train of thought, and he was, yo, I think you an agent. You either an agent or I was like, you're an idiot. I don't even talk to that dude no more. But if anybody has that video, he does. 'Cause I don't have that video no more. But I
Hmm.
definitely saw that dude. It was crazy. I saw him at the Albany airport. He must live up there in Albany.
Hmm.
I saw a video of him recording in his house, and just the way that the crib looked in the backyard, it definitely looked like Albany to me, or upstate New York
Okay.
somewhere. So, but yeah, he's definitely made the best of the situation and this whole movement. He's definitely done the most as a leader, but he looks like he's becoming this like holy figure, because I don't know
Yeah.
anybody else that's titled a bishop. There's nobody
Right.
else in that cult with that rank. Everybody else they're
Yeah.
deacons.
What happened over the years, man? Something happened because he used to be called elder
Right. Yeah, he did. I think he was
a few
called an
years ago.
was it? Damn, I'm trying to remember now. Like I know, at least for the last 3 or 4 years, he was Bishop Nathaniel. But yeah, I think that change happened sometime in the 2010s. Um, and IUIC, I've seen their growth. And in Orlando, there was a dude who's a deacon. He's one of like the 7 deacons that they have. His name is Abba Yaal or something like that. He's in Oklahoma. He's a tall, chunky, light skinned dude with glasses. He's like a rapper. Um,
Yeah,
he's the
I
head.
think I'm familiar with him.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
seen him before.
He's very well known. You've seen his face before if you're familiar with IUIC. Him and
Yes,
him and Kanai, Deacon Kanai and Deacon Abayel were both in Orlando, and now I think they're both in Oklahoma. I don't know.
because Abayel, he's not really a bullshit kind of guy.
No,
He
I
doesn't
actually
play
kind of
games.
like.
Yeah, he's very disciplined type of dude.
Yeah, he seems like a type of dude that that anybody can get along with, and a lot of these guys come off that way. They don't come off as like a GMS dude like Rakah, Elder Rakah, whatever in GMS. The bike.
Rakar was more. I think Rakar is more of down to earth kind of person, but on a more of a human scale. Like
Right.
he's close to people.
Oh, right. So let me announce who the guest is. Reno James is asking. This is Jason Creed. He's been on a few times already. He's a former GMS member. Maybe I should have put that in the description. I'll do that later. But yeah, so you're a former GMS member, so you know about this movement very well, and you follow some of this stuff. And we're on the same
Mhm.
page in a lot of things, which is good to have somebody like you on. It's good to have anybody on really that I could just have a banter with, because sometimes I go live by myself and I don't really like the way it comes
Mhm.
out. Um, but
Well, I'm asking you some questions about this because you were more familiar inside the back room version of it. Like
right,
you were actually inside in the midst of the back room Hebrew Israelite type stuff.
yeah,
So I
and
think
you
that's
saw
very
the
interesting.
introduction of IUIC because Nathaniel came out of the house of David.
So did Tahar and them did too.
Right, right. They when in 1994, Masha of the ISUPK, which was
Hmm.
there was no split. There was just the ISUPK from One West at this time. There were other Israelite groups, but there weren't any other groups like the One West groups that have the 12 tribes chart where they include Hispanics and Native Americans. And it's just a different faction. It's a whole different thing. They all use like Deuteronomy 28, Revelation
Okay.
1, and the description of the color of Christ or whatever, Jeremiah 14 and 2. They all pretty
Hmm.
much do this. Everybody that calls himself a Hebrew Israelite, black Hebrew Israelite, they
Hmm.
don't call themselves black Hebrew Israelite, but I call them black
Hmm.
Hebrew Israelites. But in 94, when Mashah left that place, um, they pretty much created that was in the first time that it became like a split from that group, from that faction, which is the most dangerous one, I believe. I mean,
Which one? Which one is the most dangerous?
anybody that comes out of One West, I think
Okay.
that they're the most. Yeah, any one of these splinter groups. But yeah, so Nathaniel comes out of One West, and he leaves with Masha, and so does Tahar, and so did the people that created, I think, the AOC, Ambassadors of Christ group. Uh,
Hmm.
I forget what other groups came out of there, because ISUPK with Yahana, they didn't they took the acronym, but the I in ISUPK, they changed that to Israelite, whereas in the past was Israeli. They stopped calling
Hmm.
themselves Israeli and started calling themselves Israelite, which is funny
Right.
because, like, I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So you hear Tahar speak against Nathaniel a lot. He
He's been doing it for like over a decade or so.
yeah, he calls him
At
Nate.
least 2 decades almost.
Hmm.
Nate Satan.
Yeah, he calls him Nate Satan. But D asked the question here: um, what are the dangers of these groups today? That's a good question. because I just came across a video that somebody on YouTube did about how Martin Luther King's mother was killed by a Hebrew Israelite.
Wow.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah, a lot of people didn't know that. You know who was the one that told me that? Vocab Malone was the one that told me that, I believe.
Hmm.
It was either him or I'm trying to remember if it was him or Killer B, the Witchfinder General, which is another dude that he knows a lot about this stuff. He really goes in on this stuff. I'm trying to remember who told me that first. I know they both told me. I don't remember who told me first. But yeah, so that was back in the what 70s. Um and there was a group called the House of Judah, which was an Old Testament only, black only Hebrew Israelite group in
Hmm.
Michigan. I think they started off in Chicago and they moved on to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and purchased a bunch of land. And they had these trailers out in this, campground where they were abusing kids. Like a child ended up dying, and that's how they found out about all the craziness.
Is that the Yahweh Ben Yahweh cult?
No, no, this is actually a completely
Okay.
different group. This is Pastor Williams, something Williams. I forget his first name.
Hmm.
Something Williams, and he had his son too in there, who was something Williams Jr. or something. And they were like I guess they call themselves pastors, and they weren't on the Hebrew Israelite stuff like wearing the garments. They weren't like that. This was a different group, so that's some of the dangers from back then. House of Yahweh Ben Yahweh and the Nation of Yah, whatever, or the Nation of what do they call themselves? Nation of Yahweh. Uh,
Hmm.
that was definitely one of the worst groups because they killed multiple people. There were
Yeah.
they had a hitman, like they had hitmen, like the members were committing hits. They were damn doing hits off of the orders of Yahweh, according to former NFL player that joined that group and became
Oh my God.
I forget the former NFL player's name, but he turned informant because he was
Okay.
he was the killer. They were killing white people just for the hell of it. Because like Yahweh Ben Yahweh was like trying to see their commitment, and cats damn came with like fingers of white men and shit, and bringing it back to him and the heads. I forgot what it was exactly, but they ended up killing black people too.
Hmm.
But today, modern time, you have Peter Moses in about 2010 or 2008. He was the one that killed a little kid, like a 6-year-old boy, because the boy,
Because he was acting gay.
right? He thought he was acting feminine. He thought he was gay, and then like I
He
don't know.
was affiliated with GMS, right?
Yeah, he was once affiliated with GMS, and he became like one of them loners, which
Yeah.
those are the ones that seem to be the craziest. Because
Yeah.
the ones in IUIC, they're pretty much in order, except for the dude in England that killed Joy Morgan. Because there was
Hmm.
a killer in IUIC. He was a murderer. He murdered his wife, Joy Morgan, in England.
Hmm.
You ever heard about Joy Morgan?
Yeah. Yes, I read vaguely. I did because Tales from the Cult talked about it. I think.
The Cult, yeah. So Tales from the Cult is Gina Blue.
Yeah.
Gina Blue, I think her name is, and she was a
And she
former
was familiar with IUIC, and Joy Moyer was familiar with IUIC. She was a member of it, and I
yeah.
think she was going out with a man from IUIC, and
Well,
he killed her.
she was in the cult. Both of them.
Yeah.
Gina Blue, she's a former IUIC member who has like 18,000 subscribers on YouTube. I
Yeah.
reached out to her, but she's doing her own thing. She didn't really want to. I think she was trying to like get paid for for doing something together, and I was like, you know what, never mind. Um,
Yeah, yeah. She always looks for money and stuff like
yeah,
that. I mean,
it doesn't
that's just
mean
her style.
yeah. I mean, whatever, that's fine, but I just felt like,
Yeah.
nah, you know what? I don't see if any benefit could come from this because it's like really, I was just trying to get with a former IUIC member, so I can really
Hmm.
talk to them and figure out how similar the ICGJC was to the IUIC because there's a lot of similarities, and I want to know more. I want to know how similar because there are little things that the ICGJC did that you won't find amongst any other group. There are courtship rules. There's all types of things like that you don't find that the in GMS. You won't find that in Sakari. They don't have a courtship rule, and it's like this is what the ICGJC did, and I'm pretty sure this is also what the IUIC does. The ICGJC still does it, but
Hmm.
today some of the I mean, Joy Morgan, she was murdered by this dude, and I mean, one of the issues is just the power dynamic over the women. I mean, Cena Martin, you can speak on this a lot. I mean, that was the title of the video that I did when I was talking about your story, Cena. She's over here in the comments section
Hmm.
right now, and yeah, her story is it's perfect. I mean, it's a perfect example of some of the issues today. D, if you want to like, because D asked the question about what are some of the dangers, and Cena Martin is a living testimony of the dangers right now. Um,
Hmm.
he's recovered and bounced back. There are people that haven't done that. There are people that's still in there. They're the holy women. My cousin, my cousin reminds me so much of Joy Morgan. Just
Hmm.
these happy-go-lucky, little intelligent women that they want to be outspoken, but you can't be
Hmm.
outspoken as a woman in there. Really, the women don't get rank. They don't get any ranking.
No.
They have pretty. I mean, the ICGJC has recently done something new with that, with like the holy women and the elect ladies, but it's still like it's fake, man. It's all like just for show. It's just try to show that look what we're doing. We're doing something nice. But yeah, her
The
story.
grooming young women. She
Story.
says the grooming of the young girls is the biggest danger.
There you go. Thank you.
Mm.
Thank Yeah, the grooming is definitely, man, forget it. Um, I that's man. I started once I started seeing like I had my oldest was coming up in the church while I was still in the cult, whatever. Call it a
Oh
church.
man.
It's a cult.
Yeah.
So she was like 4 or 3 by the time that I left, and I was definitely considering her future while I was, thinking about whether I should stay in there or not. I was thinking about her future, and I'm like, man, I see these women in there. These women come in from the world into the cult, and they become depressed. They gain weight. They just be like mad. Like you see, like they like have no sleep because they'll just be dealing with the kids all day long, and some of them have to also just support the husbands if they have to spend so much time in the church, doing all these duties of Hebrew Israelite man, a ranking man.
Hmm.
They're never home, and who takes care of the kids? The women. I've
Hmm.
seen many women. There's a lot of women that they have like PTSD. They're depressed. They have anxiety, and
Now,
yeah,
I don't mean to cut you off, sir.
all right.
Cena Martin says that the rape is covered up as courting, and this is of underage girls. She also says that a mom of another girl that she knew was raped at age 9. Most of my friends went through this, and I made it out of it. I'm sorry, sir. I don't mean to cut
Yeah,
you off.
sometimes the comments disappear, so I can't see them all. Or they don't even show up sometimes. But yeah, I want to definitely address all of that because
Wow, I didn't know
I,
this stuff was going on at all. Damn.
yeah, yeah. So in Cena Martin's case, she was raised in this thing, so it wasn't.
Hmm.
She was what's it called? It's just brainwashing. It's It's not called grooming. What's it called? It's you know what I'm talking. It's a c word. I think it's called. It's just
Courting.
like you're you know, just brought up in this thing, and it's like it's not really a choice in that way. Juanita, what's up, Juanita? Glad I'm out that place. ICGJC darn cults are so damn, my bad. It disappeared.
I can't
They're
see it.
they're so mind controlling. It's a shame how people use the word of God against people who need faith to overcome struggles in life. Mind manipulation at its finest. Oh yeah, it's conditioning. There you go. Yeah, I couldn't think of that word. I knew it was a c word. Yeah, conditioning. They're conditioned. Kids are conditioned, just like I was conditioned in the Catholic Church. I didn't choose to be a Bible believer or a Catholic. I can't tell you when I decided that I'm convinced that I'm a Christian, or I'm convinced that I believe in the Bible. There was no point like that. I could think back. It was just it was so part of my life. I was baptized before I could even, think. And then I was put into Sunday school to do my first communion when I was like 10. And then when I was like 15 or 16, I did my confirmation in the Catholic Church. So I was all up in the Catholic Church, and this was all being pushed by my family. But yeah, these are cults, man. This is all. The Catholic Church is just a big cult. It's just on a bigger scale than these other groups. But the dangers of these groups is that they're growing. That's a big danger, is that they're gonna keep growing, and they come off just so likable sometimes and just so relatable. Like that's what made me come in there, Jason. Like I
Hmm.
just related to the people in there. It just seemed like the place
I
that
didn't know all this was going on, bro. Damn.
I
This
mean,
is horrible.
I couldn't relate to the Catholic Church and the members and the leadership too. It's like they're not in touch with the people, at least, not from what I've seen. Um I just couldn't relate. I don't know. It just didn't get me until I was shown scriptures that I was never shown in the Catholic Church or whatever growing up in that.
Hmm.
When I was learning the Hebrew Israelite doctrine, they were showing me things that I'm like, what the hell? I've never heard this before. So that was a big thing for me to say, yo, wow, like there's something's wrong here. They're not talking about this in the Catholic Church. So yeah, that was a big appeal. The IUIC is very appealing. Like I know there's a lot of people out here that can't understand how people come in here, especially women. But it's like usually the men come in first. In my situation, my cousin, who's a female, she came in first, and then she brought me in. But usually, members of like family, it starts off with a man. It's from what I've seen. The way
Hmm.
I come in there, it baffles me, to tell you the truth. It baffles me how a woman, a young woman. My cousin was 17 when she came in there. My wife, I had to coerce her. Like it took months of me, just going over things and trying to like push it, just beat it into her and try to get her to see. And it wasn't until she had a conversation with my cousin, one day that she finally kind of like started seeing certain things. And I was like, damn, it's like it's hard for the I think it's harder for women to accept this, and it's usually like their husband that comes in, and then their husband brings them in because they threaten them with divorce or something. Because we were being told like you can't have a wife in the world. Your wife, if you get a wife in the world, you're not gonna stay together, because two can't walk together unless they agree. So all that stuff gets thrown out there, and yeah, brothers come in there, and I remember this one brother, man, real estate Ralph, man. That's my brother Ralph. His uh
Hmm.
his Hebrew name was Rapaya Allah, and he had changed it to Batazal Allah in Orlando. Yo, it took him like 2 months to get his wife in there, and I remember she would come to class, and it just didn't seem like she was really in there. until, after a while it's conditioning. It's like it just doesn't happen right away. It takes time. Even for me, I was really taken back by some of the things that they would say, how all these nations are going to hell no matter what. Like, if you were born white, you can't do anything about it. Your destination is damnation, pretty much. That shit seemed crazy to me at first. And I ain't gonna lie, that was a red flag. But then at the same time, who else is teaching some of the things that they're teaching? Like, scriptures about God hating, the scriptures about, the separation between the Israelites and the other nations. Bible tells you in Deuteronomy 7:6 that the Israelites were created to be a special people to God above all people. Above all people. The Bible says this. I was
Yep.
to a Christian that, or I was commenting on, it was a Christian that commented on a video posted about Tazadakia on the Jerry Springer show, the ICGJC, ISUPK at the time, or ICUPK. When on the Jerry Springer show, it was Shar, it was Tazadakia, it was Kakumbun or Kakum, and it was this other brother that committed suicide. He was in the rank instruction. He was on the Jerry Springer. He ended up committing suicide. There was in the comment section, it was a Christian that said, "I don't understand. Don't the Bible say that nobody's above anybody? Everybody's created the same. You have to love one another." And I was like, not that I believe in any of this shit, but the Bible does say that one people was created above another. It's what it says. So it's like that's why we were believing it. That's
Right.
why we fall for it. It's because we're reading it in the Bible. It's like it's not crazy. It is crazy. But if you were raised to believe in the Bible, and then these people come along with this doctrine that is the Bible, they're showing you the scriptures, and you never heard this in any other church, you're gonna assume something is wrong with these other churches, and these people have the truth. I'm reading it in the Bible. They're not making it up. So that's what swayed me. It was just my alliance to the Bible, my what I thought was an alliance to God, and I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't unsee this, So, but yeah, it's very persuasive, man. So yeah, people get conditioned. Juanita, yeah, there's a lot, man. Cena Martin said it best. It's so much more you wouldn't even believe it. This is a lot, man. It's Juanita says, yes, 18 years being totally conditioned. We feed off of our experiences, environments, racial, culturally, and even geographical to believe what our society around us does. Yeah, I mean, the Bible talks about things that were happening back then that still happen today, and people find a correlation between the struggles in the Black community, and
Right.
they correlate that with the struggles of the Hebrew Israelite, and it
Right.
just makes sense, man. It's not
Right.
correlation is not causation. There's a common that's a common logical saying. Correlation is not causation, but I
Which
that
which
back then.
which
I wasn't thinking like that back then. It was just, yeah, that sounds right. Black, the Black struggle and Black power, and it was like I just always aligned with Black people. I was just around that, and I'm no, I
Mhm.
mean there were white people around I grew up around a lot of white people too, but it's New York City. It's different. This is like an intellectual. The city is the environment of New York City is not like Missouri or something like. It's not like Kentucky. It's different. And this is where it started. It started up in New York City. This is where a lot of this is intellectualism, Black spiritualism came out of Harlem, with a lot of different movements. And this is just one of those movements that I fell for, you fell for, a lot of people fall for this stuff.
Right.
And yeah, I think about it and I'm like, I think I understand why I fell for it. And I try not to be so negative and condemning myself about it, because there's a lot that I learned from it. And the best thing
Mhm.
that I could do is what we're doing right now, is just trying to warn people about it and give people heads up, and just
Yeah.
explain it. It's try to make people understand.
Yeah, because the thing about what was different about Great Millstone to me was it was more different in comparison to those other groups were.
They were more
They
on.
were more of, yeah, they're more of the street preacher type
Yeah, they're
variety.
yeah, yeah, they're really like hardcore, you know. Um,
Yeah.
and I could see the appeal in that for some of the men, I guess, but I don't know how the hell women join the GMS. That's one group that I'm like for real,
Is
like
I don't think that they allow women to join at all.
they don't even like women.
Yeah.
They hate women. It's funny as hell. It's so funny. Like I mean, it's not funny, man. It's amazing. Like I see, there's a video that I put up. I've seen this before, and I posted it before. It's some dude, man. You've seen this guy before. He's like one of the tallest dudes in GMS, and he has a weird hairline. You know what I'm talking about? He's like
Hmm.
bald. His hairline is like all the way up here, and
Hmm.
6'6". He's a scary looking dude, and he just be in the streets. He's hardcore, and he was
I think I know who you're talking about. He's like a big 6 foot, 6'5" or something like that. Six. He's
tall.
a
He looks like
red skin.
He looks like the Black Frankenstein. He looks crazy. He looks like a monster because he's so
Yeah.
ugly. He's like ugly as hell, and his hairline is what always stood out too. He got a crazy hairline. The hairline is like up here. I don't know. It's weird. Um, and he was talking about. He's like, "Black woman, do you hear me?" He's like, "Your power is gonna be taken. Your pussy will be taken." He says, straight up, "We're gonna take your pee." What? He's saying that in the street. Women are walking by and they're catching the reaction of women, and women are like, huh?
He said something one day. He said something about black women. He said, "Now the elites are going to pull the carpet beneath your feet, and your fat ass is going to fall straight to the damn ground." Something he said was ridiculous. I was laughing. That's how they talk. I don't know.
D says that she never made it to her confirmation. She was raised Catholic too. I got kicked out of class for laughing at Adam's age. I thought they were joking. Yeah, how old was Adam? Like 600? He made it to 600 years old. That's insane. But yeah, it's but that's some crazy stuff. That's some crazy stuff with this cat. I wish I knew. You know his name? You don't know his name?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
He's in the main camp, right?
in there. He's from New York, I believe.
Yeah,
He's in the
yeah.
video.
Those guys don't play games. They're funny though. I mean, it's kind of comical,
Yeah,
but
scary though, man. Because like these dudes seem like dudes that I mean they condone rape. They straight up condone rape.
yeah, I guess so. I think so. Yeah,
Crazy to me. Your
yeah,
belief would convince you to the point where you think rape is okay. That's how you know this shit is powerful, man. This
yeah,
religion is powerful.
yeah. Because they would try to convince people that rape is something that's okay.
Right, because the woman doesn't really have a voice, according
That's
to.
not legal. Yeah, that's not legal. That's insanity.
I mean, and they use scriptures. It's like there's some truth in what they believe. That's why I'm like, like I understand what they're saying and why they believe what they believe. I mean, it's crazy, but I understand where they're coming from based on the scriptures, where women are pretty much treated like property. The Bible literally says, "He that has gotten a good wife has gotten a good property," or something like that.
Yeah,
And the fathers used to have to be paid a dowry money, some dowry money for their daughter. you
right.
know and sometimes, I mean, I don't know that people interpret these other scriptures a little differently, the scriptures that talk about the supposed scripture that talks about rape.
Yeah.
You know, which says that if a man finds a woman in the field and subdues her or something like that, and this is the King James version, uh,
Yeah.
then
Be troughs her.
right. Well, I don't know if it says betrothed her, but it says like he takes her. He what's it called? Subdues her. I think it says to it's like something like subdue her, like overpower her, and just basically um Miguel hates God, somebody said. I don't believe God exists. So how can I hate God if I don't believe that God exists? I mean, this is what Christians do that all the time. Hebrew Israelites, it's like you just hate God. It's like that's stupid, man. That's dumb. That's like the dumbest rebuttal. When somebody has nothing to say and they
Yeah.
can't intelligently like rebut what I'm saying,
No, my
because
favorite is
that's just an easy argument. So that way they
yeah,
can think. They don't
yeah.
have to think.
My favorite is the Most High is going to kill you.
Oh, of course. And it's like, and if God exists and He is the God of the Israelites, that motherfucker is a piece of shit. So yeah, I hate that God. If that's a real God, that God is a piece of shit. Who would not hate a God that condones rape or slavery? Why would you love a God like that? Like that's
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, here's the thing. What?
what fucks you up though. It makes you love evil. And we
Right.
don't know what evil is anymore. Evil is now based on whatever God says, and good is just whatever God says. You don't have to think about it. It doesn't matter what the results are, how it harms
Hmm.
people. None of that matters. It's just it's good because God said so. It's like you're a bitch. It's like you are a dick rider for God, and it's just you just do whatever God says. So it's
Hmm.
like learn how to think for yourself. Stop being like a robot. But I hate God. Just hates God. But yeah, what are you gonna say?
See, here's the thing. What people don't get though is that is the desert deity in the middle of the desert.
Pretty
And
much.
that's how things had to be done out there because there wasn't enough resources, there
Hmm.
wasn't enough water.
Yeah, and it's a good way to politically control people. Religion,
Yeah.
yeah, religion is the first political body, government body was a religious body. The leaders were priests instead of politicians. They
Hmm.
were priests. And how do they
Hmm.
control the people? It was by fear. Look how
Hmm.
he immediately goes to fear. And he's gonna return, and then it's like all fear based. He's scared, so he keeps himself in line. I gotta believe. So he's all scared that he's gonna return. He's gonna return. Am I supposed to be scared because you believe that he's gonna return? Just because you believe something is true doesn't mean that it's true. And you sound like the dude in high school that always used to claim he had a girlfriend, but he didn't. And he would always say, like, oh, she goes to another school. And it's like, where's she at? Well, you can't see her, but she goes to another. Trust me, I have a girlfriend. She goes to another school, man. And it's like, stop lying, man. You don't have a girlfriend, and your God is He doesn't exist, man. Where is he at? Oh, he's gonna return one day. Yeah, and we're gonna see. You're gonna see my girlfriend one day. That's how you sound, man. That's how these niggas sound to me. Like the nigga in school that used to be like, "Yeah, I have a girlfriend. I promise you," and he had no girl. He's lying to everybody. Just want to seem cool or whatever, and
Hmm.
just say, "Oh, you can't see her, but I have her, but you'll never see her because she doesn't go to this school." That's very convenient for you, Redskin, whatever the hell your name is. What's his name? Redskin.
He forgives sodomites.
So let me ask you this. So there could be a rapist, a sodomite, a murderer that does these so-called sins all their life, and then the day that Jesus Christ comes back, before he comes back, they repent, and now they don't have to pay for their sins. But me, who's never murdered nobody, never did sodomy, never raped anybody, I'm gonna go to hell because it doesn't make sense. Your worldview is nuts. These murderers and sodomites and rapists, they'll get away and escape judgment because they believe. That's all you got to do. Just believe. Like, what is this, Peter Pan shit? Like, just believe. Shut up, man. This is stupid. This guy's, all you guys sound so stupid to me when you try to come at me. Like, I have believers that come on here and we don't go back and forth. They already know where I stand. I respect them. They respect me. And that's it, man. If you really want to go into this conversation, we can go into it, man. But, this is I mean, going back to IUIC, man, they are really good at making evil things seem good. And this is what these cats do, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna hit the store real quick. But yeah, let's keep talking.
Go ahead. Yeah, man. I thought that was interesting about these parallels between the the IUIC and what you've been through as well.
Yeah, that's what we wanted to really touch on because I mean, you look at this Passover that the IUIC did.
Mm-hmm.
This shit was crazy, bro. These guys are
One thing I
riding on
wanted.
horses. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the horse thing is ridiculous to me because it's like we're living in 2023. What do you need a horse for at this time? You know what I mean? Why are you trying to make yourself seem like it's like this false image? It's like a movie. This is what Tazadake used to do. He was very worried about appearance. It's like appearance was
Mm-hmm.
very important to him, and how just how everything looked. You know what I mean? Like he wanted it
Mm-hmm.
shit to look a certain way, and if it didn't, he would get pissed. Somebody was gonna hear about it. I don't know if Nathaniel's like that. I don't know if he's like a tyrannical type, leader. But
Oh, he's much better.
he
I
seems all
think he's
happy
better.
go lucky and shit. He has that fake ass smile that he always has.
He's a lot better.
Yeah, I
He's a
think.
lot better.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think he's a lot more efficient too.
Yeah. Hey, Redskin is blessed. Redskin is blessed. Um, if if there's a God, and if I'm somehow convinced and I repent and all of that, then that's great. But I don't think that I will be able to accept the God of the Israelites. So even if this God is real, I can't bow down and worship. I believe that he exists. Is that good enough? Or do I have to damn worship him and bow down and all that crazy shit? Because obviously, if you're real and you exist, how can I deny that? But why? What's this big mystery with God that it's like hide and go seek and shit? It's like it's not obvious,
Mm-hmm.
It's like we have to. We're almost, almost we have to take this leap of faith, and that's exactly what the Bible explains. That is faith is very important. And why is that? Why do you need faith if there's evidence? It's because there's no evidence. You have to rely on your faith in order to
Mm-hmm.
believe God. If you had evidence, you wouldn't need faith. That's it. Faith is a sorry excuse for when you don't have proof. It's like, well, I have faith. Well, good for you. Faith based on reasonable expectations. You know, I have faith that my wife is not cheating on me and won't cheat on me because I know my wife. I have direct experiences with my wife. That's not the same thing as having faith in a God that you've never experienced before. You're just claiming experiences and you're attributing random experiences to a God. And it's not the same thing. I have direct experience with people. And based on that, I can say, well, I have faith that maybe, most likely, I can't even say anything 100%.
Red, wait a minute. Red Skin is blessed. Says he has evidence.
Yeah, I'm sure. You're evidence. He's going to say, you're the evidence. That's what he's going to say. You're the evidence, the universe, the earth, and yeah, the fine tuning of the universe. You don't think I've heard these things before, Redskin? If that's good enough for you, that's cool. It's not good enough for me. because fine tuning or whatever argument you have, argument from consistency, there's different arguments. Argument from incredulity, there's all types of arguments that's been pushed, and there are very intelligent philosophers that are Christians or non-Christian or deist or atheist that have put forth a lot of good responses. And ultimately, I think that the secular and the non theistic, the atheists, have the best arguments. And it's not really an argument against saying that God doesn't exist. That's the problem too, that a lot of people, like a lot of believers, don't understand, is that I don't have to prove that God doesn't exist. If something doesn't exist, it's just that's it. That's it. How can I prove that something doesn't exist? But if you want to tell me that something does exist, then you have the burden of proof, and the evidence is lacking tremendously. I can't even like begin to go into it because it's he will show you tonight. So thank you. He will show you tonight. I pray and love you, God. Wow, thank you. I appreciate your love. I'm gonna do.
I hear you.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab something real quick, but you could go ahead and talk
Well,
about
I thought it was a more of a Hollywood type of look, man. It was like a space age Marvel comic type thing going on, man.
Space Age Marvel.
Yeah, man. And plus, also there
You're
was
talking
some
about IUIC?
yeah.
Yeah, these guys are crazy,
And
man.
also I think there was
Can I
some
get a black or mine?
some I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
Also, I think there was some computer graphic stuff going on too around his face.
Easy? Yeah. Oh, you need my. Oh, I didn't bring my ID. I'll be back. That's all right. My bad. Damn, forgot my ID. But yeah, what are you talking about? The what do you mean space
There
age?
was some computer graphic stuff going on around his face too.
Computer graphic going on around space. What do you mean?
Well, you know, some stuff to make him look younger around his
Wait.
eyes and
Oh,
stuff.
okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Hold on. I see what you're saying. In space though, like
Yeah.
they got the satellites up there. There's all types of shit going on up there, for sure. So like even with using our phones right now, they're using the satellite
Hmm.
imagery to bounce off of the technology, the shit. There's all these signals in order to use these phones. Um, but you know,
Hmm.
I can't I can't tell you that I'm well studied and versed in any of this shit. You know, just like when I was going back and forth with Gorilla Hebrew from Sakari, he was like, "Well, do you know about what do you call it, the fossil records?" Because I was, you know, he asked me, what do you think is the best the best evidence against um, the Bible?" And I was like, "Well, the fossil records, man. The time that life, the existence of life, according to the fossil record, debunks the Bible, man. The history of the Bible, the so-called, you know, inception of humanity
Hmm.
and life in 6
Hmm.
days, and the third day God. It's like all of that shit is off. And then he was like, "Well, have you seen these fossils yourself?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't seen them, but how many people have seen them and confirmed?" And this is called objective evidence. We don't have objective evidence on the resurrection of Jesus. It's like we just have to believe what the Bible says.
Right.
Um, I see Nathaniel talk about. He talks. He's their main thing. They love doing this. Is speak against put a group down to put yourself up. They put someone down to make themselves, to uplift themselves. And they
Mm-hmm.
can't just talk about how great the IUIC is or their doctrine is. They have to
Mm-hmm.
put the Christians down in order to make themselves look good.
Mm-hmm.
And they go into this, like, I mean, but they all essentially believe in the same thing. A
Mm-hmm.
Christian, a Christian and an Israelite basically believes in the same thing. There are minor
Differences.
differences,
Mm-hmm.
minor doctrinal, but
Very minor.
other than that, it's
It's
like
the same thing, almost.
it's the same thing. They believe, yeah, sodomites are going to hell. You can't be gay, even though scientific evidence show you that they were born that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like sexual selection, you know, whew, it happens in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whose choice was that? Whose fault is that? We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna blame. We're gonna blame somebody that was born that way.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make sense to me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that's the IUIC. That's their movement right now. It's pretty much condemning Christians.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to appeal to Christians because they're not going to convince a non-believer. It's hard to convince a non-believer, somebody that doesn't believe in the Bible already.
Mm-hmm.
But if they could get somebody like a Christian that already believes in the Bible, it's an easy transition, just like how I transitioned and you, from Catholicism or from Christianity or baptism over to Israelitism,
Right.
because it's like we believe in the Bible, so
Mm-hmm.
that's the foundation of their belief.
Mm-hmm. True.
And yeah, but I think it's silly what YUIC is doing. The whole thing with the horse, that shit blew my mind, and I just because I used to say that about like
He looked like something from North Korea.
it's because like the scriptures in Revelation I always thought was ridiculous that talk about Jesus Christ coming back on a horse, and I'm like, this is so stupid. This is how you know that they didn't know shit about the future back then. They just assumed that people were still going to be riding horses. They had no idea that we were going to have 220 horsepower. We were going to have vehicles. What the fuck? A horse? I got a fucking Acura. Like, fuck a horse. It's just silly. It's like just this image that makes it seem like it's like this biblical image. Like, it's a man on a horse. Ooh, like, so what? And this guy has his crazy. They got these garments now in the IUIC. These guys look like some damn Siberian goddamn Israelites and shit. With they
Power
got
Rangers.
they got the what do you call it? The what do you call it with the fur on it? Remember the coats with the fur?
Yeah.
They got that on the garment now.
Yeah, I saw that. Now, wait a minute. Now, that goes against the scriptures though.
The fur.
Yeah, you're not supposed to have two or three different pieces of clothing on your clothes. It should be one.
And I think I was getting into the story earlier about IUIC. I didn't finish it with
Like like
Abayel.
like you're not supposed to have threading, then animal fur, then something else on there.
You can't have mixed fabrics.
Right. Yeah.
Abayel, the deacon of Oklahoma, he used to be in Orlando, and when I was heading a camp one time for the ICGJC when I was still in there, he approached our camp, and he had fringes on his shirt. So they stress about fringes on the shirt.
Yes, he did talk about that. For fringes on the shirt.
Yeah, but the mixed fabric is okay. But fringes on the shirt, he was trying to get on us in the ICGJC because we only have fringes when we throw on our garment, but we take off our garment. He was like, y'all take off your garment, and then you don't have fringes anymore when you go to work or whatever. And
Yes, yes,
I
yes,
remember going forth with him about that. And
yes. Because
and
his
he
whole thing was like, a person should have fringes on his shirt when he's going to
correct.
work, when he's going over here. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
he
sorry, sir.
Israelites in the ICGJC. He approached the camp and was like, "Y'all fake Israelites, man. Y'all only part-time Israelites." He was saying that. I respect the dude. Like I said, I respect that dude a lot. I've seen some of his classes, and I'm like, I was trying to get some content that I could condemn and make a video, and I couldn't find any like real big moment. You know, it's.
Hmm.
I mean, it's. I mean, yeah. There's a typical crazy shit that they say, but it becomes normalized. Things become so normalized in there. You know, rape. Well, not in the IUIC. IUIC condemns all that rape crap. But yeah,
Hmm.
Reno G says this took a turn. The dude, hey Miguel, have you heard of inspiring philosophy, and do you think his arguments for theistic evolution make sense? See, that's the thing, man. It's like before evolution was discovered and pretty much broken down to the point that we understand now, the theistic worldview was that it was just God that created things the way that they are. And then it wasn't until after evolution became an established foundation, a pillar of science, that they said, "Oh yeah, we knew that all along. You didn't know? Oh yeah, God created evolution." Like what? It's like they keep moving the goalposts. Is what it's called. It's called shifting the goalposts. Every time some new evidence comes out, they need to push it further and say, "No, we knew that already." And no, well, what about this? And it's just a confirmation bias. It's a cognitive bias that no matter what new evidence comes out, they'll always find a way to turn that into, oh yeah, well we knew that all along. And it's like, no, you didn't. Where in the Bible does it say that God created evolution? Doesn't say anything like that. But my bad, I don't know exactly what you're talking about with you're talking about inspiring philosophy. Have you heard of inspired philosophy? I guess I haven't. I don't know. And do you think his arguments for theistic evolution make sense? Yeah, I haven't heard of it, but I've heard of theistic evolution for sure. I think that Vocab Malone, if you're familiar with him, um, um, the person that's asking me the question, what's your name? The dude, Vocab Malone, who speaks against Hebrew Israelites, who's a Christian. He believes in theistic evolution. I believe he does. But yeah, but I know that IUIC and these Hebrew Israelite groups, they don't believe in evolution, period. But there are Christians that believe in evolution, and they incorporate that with the Bible now because it's undeniable. They have to go against science, established science. I mean, evolutionary biology. Biology itself proves evolution. Biology itself proves that we evolved. Humans, we evolved ourselves, believe it or not. But that's definitely took a turn. James.
Yeah, man, it was a more of a space age type thing they were doing in there. I was kind of blown away.
What are you talking about? IUIC?
Oh yeah, the outfits too. I mean,
Oh,
the
oh,
outfits kind of expensive.
yeah, that's what you were talking about. Yeah, they're like on some I mean space age stuff, but then they have horses. They have horses. They had horses, man. I don't know if they brought that up in the. It was part of the video that they made for the Passover 2023, and then just everything that
Hmm.
they're doing, it's like this thing is so fake. You know, it's so like it's so much about appearance and just trying to look a certain way. And even the cover that I use for this, the thumbnail that I use for this video is the Passover 2020 2023 cover or thumbnail that Bishop Nathanyel and the IUIC created, and it looks like the fucking cover for like an Indiana Jones movie or something.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like
Yeah.
this is all a show. This is
He
what
was
Taz
wearing the makeup
for.
too. The makeup on his face.
He
It
had the
was
make
like you could tell he had on makeup. Like you could look at his face and see it, because it was no wrinkles on the face at all, or some type of CGI they did to his face.
and Tazadaki used to make a big performance out of the Passover where Boyz II Men would come out, and then he would do this production because he was like an entertainment mogul. He was trying to be in it. He was a fake entertainment mogul.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but this is what he was trying to portray himself to be, as this whole, entertainment mogul that, and you saw it come out every time there would be an event. He gets the cameras out. He wants to make sure the lighting is right and the production is on point. And it's like that's very important. And it's like, do you really need all of that if you have the spirit of God where you can sway people and convert people? Do you really need all of that extra shit? I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, yeah, IUIC is not really much different from the ICGJC and GMS. The IUIC, I think that they changed some of their doctrines, and they seem to be more like the ICGJC with the Christ is Yahweh doctrine,
Mm-hmm. Right.
because they created some new doctrine now.
Really? Tell
Name
me.
of God. They're telling you now in the IUIC that nobody knows the name of the Father.
Right.
So they're saying that the Father's name is not Yahweh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a Tazadakia thing. That's an ICGJC thing. Obviously, that's clear in the Bible that no man knoweth the Father. No man comes to the Father but through Jesus. So nobody ever met the Father. Not
So
even,
so so his name is Jesus, basically. I guess so.
yes, they saying that Jesus' name is Yahweh, just like the ICGJC was saying.
Right.
Because GMS is confused on all of that. And I see what Tazadaki is doing. Tazadaki is right. He was right on a lot of things. He was changing things, doctrines, to be more accurate, more of an accurate representation of what the Bible teaches.
Mm-hmm.
Doing that, I seen what he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
that's
I
what
guess
that's what
so.
yeah, that's what really kept me in, because on top of the doctrine of the Israelite, whatever, us being Israelites, that seemed pretty clear to me for a long time through the years of me being in there. Even after I was out of the ICGJC, I still believed I was an Israelite for years.
Mm-hmm.
My thing was, well, who else is teaching that Jesus Christ is Yahweh? Because that seemed pretty clear to me in the Bible. In John chapter 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the
The word
Word
be
was,
came flesh. Mm-hmm.
but it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God.
Mm-hmm.
So it says that Jesus Christ was with God in the beginning. And then it says, and the Word was God. So now it's saying Jesus Christ was God.
Mm-hmm.
So not only was Jesus Christ with God, he is also known as a God. And then the Word became flesh.
Mm-hmm.
So that scripture, John chapter 1, verse 1, tells me that Jesus Christ was in the beginning. He was a God, and he was with another God, which obviously is his Father. And that's it. This was the beginning of time, according to the Bible. It was God the Father and God the Son. This
Mm-hmm.
is this is this is the history of the Canaanite religion with El and
Mm-hmm.
Yahweh or Yahweh or whatever. Um, there was a Father God. There, these people, like, what where the Israelites um, separated themselves from the Canaanites was with believing in monotheism. But it seemed like they went back on that sometime in the New Testament, or I don't know. There were little elements of polytheism.
Polytheism.
If you
Right.
believe that a God the Father and a God the Son. That's
Mm-hmm.
polytheism, no matter how you slice it. Even if you want to just say that, oh yeah, but they're all one, but it's still two. But they're all one in the spirit. All these three are one, and it's like, okay, that's the triune God. But it's like me saying, okay, well, my family is one, but there's still different members of my family.
Mm-hmm.
So are we really one? We're not. We're more than
Mm-hmm.
one.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense when they try to say, yeah, they're it's not polytheism, it's monotheism. But no, you believe in that there's God the Father and God the Son, and then the Holy Spirit seems like a God too.
Right.
So I mean, I'm not too familiar with the IUIC doctrines on a lot of things. I've been watching some of their stuff more. I've been more focused on Sakari because I've been dealing with Sakari more. Because the
Mm-hmm.
IUIC, ICGJC, they don't make themselves available for conversations. They will go and address Christians and go and confront churches, and they'll show up in front of these churches.
Well,
But
those are better targets. You, on
they're
the other
easy.
hand, is a little bit harder.
Oh yeah, if I try to contact, and I've had a conversation with Abayel on the Facebook group that former members created from the ICGJC. They created the survivors of the Tazadakia, whatever. It was the Facebook group that we created before this is, bro, this is crazy. This was amazing. The former members of the ICGJC created a Facebook group. It was really started by Nisha, which is Tazadaki's baby moms, and
Mm-hmm.
a few other members that were high in the ranks in New York City. That we found out later they were working with the FBI as informants.
Oh
Um,
shit!
I didn't know that when they first created the group, but I was
Damn.
like, "What's going on?" People got mad information, and I'm like, "Damn, there's a lot of information coming out." And I heard Tazadaki is being investigated by somebody that's on the inside, that was like really like on it, like closely related to one of these former members that was like at the top, like one of these former security guards. And his brother called me up one day and told me, "Yo, Tazaki is being investigated by the FBI, and the shit's about to go down." And that was the turning point for me. I was like, even though I was already out the church, I was still a believer, and I was trying to come back in. And
Mm-hmm.
that phone call right there just changed my mind. Like I was like, "Oh, I'm done now for sure." It makes
Can you
sense to me.
explain something to me though?
Yeah.
Well, go ahead and speak about the phone calls. I'm sorry.
No, that's it. That was for me when I knew that this place was problematic and there were a bunch of lies and Tazadaki was tricking people. And then later on, that Facebook group got started. But yeah, I was saying that Abayel came on there in the Facebook group, and he was like, somebody invited him, and I ended up talking to him briefly. And I was like, brother, you don't remember me? We met on the street and you confronted the camp. And he was on the Facebook group. Remember the story I told earlier? He was in the
Yeah.
he was in the Facebook group years later, and I was like, brother, you confronted me and some of the brothers when I was uh pretty much heading this camp, this whole unit where we were doing street speaking. And he was like, word. He was like, oh shit, he was like, okay, no doubt, good to see that you're out. And I was like, yeah, I'm out, but I'm really out. But that's Abayel, man. But yeah, like I had that conversation with him. But if I ask him, yo, let's go live and let's do some type of debate, he probably won't be able to do it because he has to ask his superiors, and then they're gonna tell him no. This is how the ICGJC functions. You can't just be out here talking to people and debating people. They don't even the leaders don't even debate nobody. Ariyah
And
don't
the
tell
thing,
nobody to
and
talk.
here's the thing, like people claim they want to see real men again, and that's not putting him down at all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about him, but
Right.
they don't really want men with a lot that really stand up for themselves.
Mm.
They really want men to serve.
Right. Yeah. They're quick to be on some like, oh, the world is weak and we're not real men and all of that shit. But then it's like, but you guys ain't real men either. You are you live your life based upon what your superior allows.
Right.
Pretty much how that shit functions. It's a shame, but that's how every one of these groups function.
Let me ask you a question, though, Sam. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
What made you leave Dakia's group, basically?
That phone call. I mean, when I was already out, but I was put out. I was put out in December of 2010. It was right before 2011, and I, I had missed 4 Sabbaths in a row, 4 Saturdays in a row. So,
Hmm.
according to the chief priest of Orlando, that was grounds for suspension. So I was suspended, but I was allowed to come back in per Tazadaki's approval in
Hmm.
my council up in New York, which I did. So me and my wife, my whole family, and now my daughter was actually still allowed to come in. Actually, she was still going to classes while I was out, and I would have my cousin, stay with her, and they would literally be in class together still, because I thought my daughter, I was still a believer. Hail Stan, since you believe in God, will you sell your soul to Satan? I don't believe in God. And I don't believe in Satan either. You believe in Satan, not me. You believe in Satan, not me. Um, anyways, I was pretty much I got myself put out, bro. I was tired of the bullshit. I was
Hmm.
tired. Like I know a few of those Sabbaths that I missed. I could have went, but I was just like, I don't want to go, man. I was calling out for the street speaking and what you call it street speaking and the unit work. I was like, I don't want to have any of that stuff. Like I don't want to be a part of any of that. I don't want to, it was taking up too much of my time. So
Hmm.
I was pretty much like falling out, but still maintaining my belief. I just didn't want to be a part of the congregation and be subject to the rules and the demands. So I don't know. That's like
Let
that's
me ask you a
it was
question.
a transition, bro. It's like I can pinpoint that phone call that I mentioned earlier in 2015, where that bro
Hmm.
that this brother that called me, his name was Yaquam, and he was from up north. He was the one that actually brought my cousin in, and my cousin was the one that brought me in, right? So this brother was like connected from the beginning to me. Like I would call him up, but yeah, like whenever I had questions, I would hit him up and ask him like, "Yo, what does this mean? And what do I say when somebody, whatever?" So it was very fitting for him to be the one to call me in 2015 and say, "Yo, shit's about to go down. Tazadakia is committing tax fraud. He's taking all this money and just using it for his own benefit, and he's doing IRS scams and that made sense to me because I know I did my own taxes for years before that day, and I was like, wow, I understand exactly what you're saying. With the 501c3 license, you get tax exempt, and on top of that, he's not even claiming the money, and then I thought I'm like, yo, we all pay cash, all our tithes are in cash. There is no way that can be traced by the IRS. There's just no way. And I know brothers in there weren't saying that, oh, I have religious contributions from the. I did that. I did that one year that I filed for taxes. I said, you know what? I gotta file for this shit. This is 20% of my income. Me and my wife. That shit was like $6,000 a year between me and my wife. More. That was like 8,000 to $9,000. I think. Wait, let me see. 20%. I was making like 30K on a regular, maybe 25K. So yeah, let's say 30K. 3,000 is 10%. 6,000 is 20%. That's just me. And then my wife. Yo, we were paying like $12,000 a year, bro. Between me and my wife. That's just off tithes. So I was like, I'm reporting this as a religious contribution one year.
Wait a minute. 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 Between you and your wife, you was paying how much a year?
Yeah, $12,000 a year in tithes.
Oh
Between
my God.
$10,000 to $12,000 a year in tithes coming out,
Oh,
and we're making collectively um 6,000 60, maybe $60,000 at the time, through those years. Some years I was making like 25, 26,000. I think at the height it was like 29,000. One of my highest grossing years, like 29,000. It wasn't a lot. That's nothing. But keep in mind, this is 20. This is like the mid 2000s. Uh,
mm-hmm.
so think about it. What's 10% of 30,000? It's 3,000, right?
3,000.
So what's
Right.
20% of 30,000? It's 6,000, right? We're paying 20% tithes. So I'm paying 6,000 out of 30,000. That's 20% of 30,000 is 6,000. That's just me. Now my wife was making about the same amount of money as me, so she's paying the same amount of tithes as me. 6,000 plus 6,000 is 12,000. We were paying $12,000 a year to this motherfucker. That's just my house. That's
God damn.
my house. That's one household per year. That's enough for one person, on the single person, to live good on their own. Tazadaki was getting this from every fucking household, pretty much. And you had people like Boyz II Men in there that were making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, maybe millions.
Mm-hmm.
20% of that, 20% of a million is 200,000, brother. So if, let's say, Wanye Morris alone was making $1 million in a year, Tazadaki was $200,000 if he was a faithful brother, which they seemed like they were. I know I was. I was paying what I had to pay. I wasn't fucking around. I felt like if I didn't pay what I was supposed to pay, God knew that, and He was gonna destroy me.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this.
Let's-
Damn.
Let me
Damn.
address these comments because this guy just keeps blabbering on. The deacon works for Satan. He sold his soul for a rap career. Oh, the dude says, "Hey, San Miguel, would you debate Deacon Hakka again?" Yeah, definitely, man. I would love to talk to that dude. He seems like a very arrogant dude, but I feel like I met people like him already before. I know how to deal with people like him. Um, and I've talked to him. I've had him. They've had me on their channel, on the Sakari Public Enemies or whatever channel, and then I've been on their lives and commenting. I'm sure you probably seen the video that I posted because he failed on that King David's baby shit. He pretty much straight failed on that. Did you see the video I posted about King David's baby?
King David's baby. I'm not familiar with that, but I did see a debate with you from somebody from Kari. I
Yeah.
saw that.
Well, there was another brother too. The dude says he's very arrogant, man. He's very arrogant. He's the type of dude, Hakka. He's okay. So there's Gorilla Hebrew. He's like the head of Sakari, and then there's
Right.
D. Who's like the second in command. So they both had me on their platform, and they were both throwing things at me. That's like I was debating both of them. Whenever Deacon Hakka was failing, because I remember he was trying to get me on certain things, and I would just rebut it, and he was stopping his tracks, and then this cat Gorilla Hebrew would take over and be like, well, this, and I'm like, damn, I'm battling two niggas right now. It's like I'm fighting two opponents. That
Yeah,
that
I
was
hate that.
that was like 2018. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because you agreed to meet them one on one,
Mhm.
and then it turns into a tag team battle, or like it turns into a handicap
Yeah,
battle.
I wasn't really even at like the level that I think I'm at now, where I feel like I'm better equipped to debate somebody. In 2018, I was like just coming out of the belief, I mean, 2015, 2016 was my turning point, and then I was like studying different things, and I wasn't really too familiar with Sakari, but I knew the crux of their doctrine, which was, of course, the Hebrew Israelite doctrine. So, but I didn't know Gorilla Hebrew was like, he's good at debating. He's really good at debating, and he's really
Hmm.
slick. and he was able to put out a lot of false information that, it's like, if you present somebody with false information in a debate and they're not familiar with that and they don't know how to debate that, like I didn't know how to respond to certain things. It was just be
Mm,
left to just, okay, well, I'll look into that. And it's just like, it just seems like he won. It just seems like he had the upper hand. And it's like, when you go back and you look it up for yourself, it's like, no, he's fucking lying, or he's confused. I don't want to assume that he's lying, but he's definitely confused. We know
mm,
it. um so then, I did a follow-up video, just kind of doing a commentary on that in 2018. And then I started going on Sakari's live streams and asking questions. So I would
mm,
screen record it while I'm asking the question. I'll screen record it because I know I'm gonna catch these cats. And I caught Deacon Hakas slipping, man. I know he probably is gonna see that because it's getting a lot of views now. Since I put it up as a short, because I realized
mm.
YouTube you got to put shorts out because everybody got a short attention span now. So they can't sit down and watch a 20-minute video and shit. Like, people literally can't sit down and watch a video that's longer than like 20-30 minutes, bro. Like, it's fucking sad. Um,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
the attention span is so short that YouTube has resorted to this other option of you posting shorts like TikTok, or like Instagram has. Instagram actually changed that because of TikTok. Now they have that option
Mm,
available where you can post a short. And it's like,
mm,
my editing, I like going in when it comes to editing. I like really doing like deep fucking editing, and doing like a whole, topic that I come around and just do a full circle thing where you get a full understanding about what I'm talking about. You can't really do that in a minute. And that's what these shorts are. They're just a minute videos that people constantly look at, and it comes back to back on YouTube. It's like, if you watch one short, there, you can't even stop it. Like, if you just leave your phone playing and you walk away from it, they're just gonna keep on fucking sending you shorts. And you don't won't even
mhm,
know it. It just keeps playing over and over and over and over, from one to the next, from one to the next, or it might repeat the same one over and over. And
mhm.
it's just 1 minute though. You can't do more than 1 minute. And fucking, it's sad, but that's what I've resorted to. I have to post more shorts. Now I got almost 4,000 subscribers all of a sudden, bro, because of that.
Yeah.
I was just at 2,000 when we spoke 2 weeks ago. When we did our live,
Mm.
I was like at 2,000. Now I'm at
Wow.
4 because I've been focusing on the shorts.
Wow.
So I put up two different videos, where I'm talking to Sakari. I've spoken to members from Sakari, really, I mean, on different occasions, twice live, and another time, or more than one time, on the where I'm on the chat, whatever, I'm posting comments, and that's where I got Deacon Hakat. But I would love to debate. I would love to talk to Gorilla Hebrew again. He's the one I want, man. I want that cat right there because he thinks, like, like when it comes to him debating a Christian, like Vocab Malone is like, sometimes these Israelites have the upper hand, man. They could just pull a scripture where it says, yo, God is gonna destroy these other nations. They're dropping drop from a bucket and shit. They ain't nothing compared. That's what the scripture
Yeah.
says. Happy
Like
is that taketh the children and dashes them against the stones. What do you got to say about that, Christians? You can't say shit. You're gonna be
like
somebody that is in the spirit of God is gonna be happy while they're bashing children against rocks and stones.
yeah.
Christian sermon has ever fucking said anything about that? Hebrew Israelites talk about that, and that's why they stand out, because it's there in the Bible. You can't deny it. So why aren't
And
you?
see the Christian will make a will make a response saying, well, that's the Old Testament, and then the Hebrew makes a statement, well, why is it there then?
Right?
Simple.
Did you watch Gorilla Hebrews debate with Dr. Michael Brown? Was it Dr. Michael Brown? Yeah, Dr. Did you watch that?
No, me no.
Okay, so this was a big deal. I think Vocab Malone was the moderator too. Vocab Malone had told me about it before he did it. I remember because I had spoken to him. I speak to him every once in a while. he was like, "Yo, you're gonna watch that tomorrow?" And I was like, "What? The debate, whatever." And I was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about." Yeah, I don't be following this shit. Like, I really don't be following this shit. Like Vocab Malone is more into it.
Yeah, that's a terrible argument to make up.
Yeah, it's funny as fuck. Cause like I'm a former Hebrew Israelite, and I be Vocab Malone be knowing more than me. He's like, "Bro, you be lost." He's like, "You slipping, bro." I be like, "Yeah, my bad. I don't know. I don't follow this shit." Vocab Malone
Yeah.
be posting stories where Hebrew Israelite
Well,
crimes and shit, and I'm like, how the fuck? Like, I be mad late to it, right? And I'll get the evidence. I'll get all the content, all the videos, and vocab, and I'll hit him up. I'm like, "Bro, have you ever heard of this person? And have you ever done a video on this person?" And he'd be like, "Yeah, that was like 2 years ago. I did a video." And I'm like, "What the fuck? I'm just finding out about this Hebrew Israelite motherfucker that did this crime or whatever." And then it's so dope what he's doing because he'll go look up
vocab's on their ass. Yeah.
he'll get the YouTube channel from these people, and then
Mm-hmm.
he'll post the content that they posted on his channel. So now that content and that video is alive. But what the fucking police do is they'll delete the YouTube video. They'll fucking suspend the channel when one of these fucking people, one of these criminals do some, these Hebrew Israelites do some criminal shit. They'll just
Mm-hmm.
cancel the whole channel. So now all the evidence that they're Hebrew Israelites is gone. It's all
Right.
gone. So you will never have that today unless you go to Vocab Malone's channel and you see that he fucking had he was on it from the beginning before they canceled the channel. That's what I told
Mm-hmm.
him before. I'm like, "Bro, what you're doing is great because you don't know how many times I'm trying to look this person up on social media to prove that they're Hebrew Israelites because people's social media is going to have all their beliefs. So all these Hebrew Israelites that be doing crimes and shit, that be shooting, murdering people, and they make the news, their social media is going to expose their beliefs. And there's probably a lot more Hebrew Israelites that we don't even know about, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
people don't catch on. People don't even realize if it ain't like a person like me and you, we won't even realize that. Now, I found this story, and this is what I'm talking about with Vocab Malone. What happened recently? There's a dude named Jaden Hayden. This seems like a fake name. This is the real dude, Jaden Hayden. This motherfucker was punching a 75-year-old man in a rehab facility, a nursing facility around the time of when COVID first came out. He's recording himself punching the shit out of this dude, and he posts this
Mm-hmm.
shit on social media. And then when the news and Trump even posted that video and said this is despicable. Trump, the president,
Damn.
Donald Trump, and nobody even knew that this guy was a Hebrew Israelite. But there was a news report that said the guy's social media had videos where he's saying blacks are the chosen people and that the reason why we're slaves is because we disobeyed God and now we have to go to the white man for everything. So the news report didn't say that he's a Hebrew Israelite. It just said that. Now, you know that that sounds like a fucking Hebrew Israelite. You know that. But a
Yeah.
newspaper is not going to know that. So they don't report that. We don't find that shit out until a person like myself or Vocab Malone or one of our subscribers comes across the story and relates it to us. And then we have to find it right. We have to post it right away because
Wow.
there's a lot of situations like this. But look up Jaden Hayden, man. This cat was crazy. He was 20 years old. He was mentally, I don't know, man, because these cats is like, the, they always like to say, oh, he's mentally incompetent to go through trial because he's out in the streets, bro. He didn't get no time because they said he's incompetent because
Right.
Israelites sound crazy. This is what, like, you don't know how many people I've met in the ICGJC that it's like this motherfucker is mentally unstable, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like it's normal though because everybody in there is pretty much mentally unstable. But I,
Right. 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 How do you prove that he's mentally insane? That's impossible.
I mean, can't somebody just lie when they're getting evaluated and be like, yeah, I see unicorns and I see pink elephants flying around, and then they're gonna be like, whoop, you're mentally incompetent. Go ahead and
For a Hebrew Israelite, he don't have to lie. Like all he gotta do is just talk,
Mhm.
and he gets off. He gets off free.
Right, right. It says somebody said, hold on, let me go back to these comments. Did you watch? All right, so yeah, the Gorilla Hebrew and Dr. Michael Brown. So that's how I got into this vocab because he moderated this joint, and he was telling me like he follows up on all of this stuff. So Dr. Michael Brown is a Jewish Christian, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
he's very smart, man. He knows how to debate as a Christian. He knows that black people are not the Israelites. There's so much evidence. So that was the topic. Who are the real Israelites? I believe was the topic. And he destroyed Gorilla Hebrew, man. He fucking destroyed Gorilla Hebrew on that topic. Who are the Israelites today?
Mm-hmm.
He destroyed him, and and he was very honest about the fact that Jews today have a trace amounts of Israelite DNA. Um,
Mm-hmm.
from what I've looked up, Israelite, what is an Israelite DNA? They have to go to the Canaanite area, and these are Canaanites. It's the same shit. So
Same thing. Right.
Israel say, "Oh, but that's a Canaanite. That's not an Israelite." It's like, no, it's the same thing. They have
Right.
Canaanite DNA. They've compared it to the Jewish people of today. The Jewish people of today have about 50% connection. That's a lot.
That's a
50%,
lot. Okay.
and the rest is like Polish, European. They're white as fuck too. You see these fucking Israelis today. They
Right.
they look fucking white. Let's get it straight. And the Middle Eastern people were already kind of like mixed in. They didn't look like an African. They weren't looking like fucking KRS-One or some shit or Wesley Snipes. They didn't look like that. They didn't look like Tazadakia. They fucking look like Gorilla Hebrew and shit. And me. That's how they look,
Right.
man. Gorilla Hebrew looks
Right.
like he's crazy as fuck, man. But that's exactly how they would look. I've seen
Now
videos.
let me ask you a question
Yeah.
because they said the Yemenites. I think the Canaanites, the modern day Canaanites, which would be the Israelites,
Right.
they're in Yemen, right?
Not the. I wouldn't say that. It depends. You see, is how it's all worded. So there is a lot of ancestry, Israelite ancestry in Yemen. I would say that.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
yeah. Now, is it more than the Israelis that came from Poland in 1948 that are now inhabiting, the Israel and Jerusalem? I don't know. I don't know how much more. I don't know if they've done that type of DNA testing, but I know that there are Israelites and Yemenites look like they could look dark and they could look like me. You know,
Right.
they and this is very close to like northeast Africa too. So there's been a
Mm-hmm.
lot of migrations over back and forth. There's Israelite DNA in the Lemba Africans, in the Lemba Jews, or whatever in Africa. But that shit is like 10%. This is what Hebrew Israelites are so petty, man. It'd be like 10% DNA that they find in some African tribe, and then they're like, "Oh, you see?" That's like what? It's 10%. That shit is not even phenotypically like uh noticeable. Like I have
Yeah.
like anything less than like 10 or 12% DNA, you won't even see it in the phenotype. It won't even show.
No. No.
Like I have 10% Native American or 10 or 12% not Native American. Well, yeah, it's Native American, Taino, indigenous. And you can't
Mm-hmm.
really see that in my DNA. I don't think. Maybe a little bit. What you see mostly is North African. People
Mm-hmm.
think I'd be looking Arab and shit. I have a lot
Mm-hmm.
of North African. Well, not a lot. A quarter is that's a good chunk. But I'm mostly
Okay.
Indian and Portuguese, and even in your and I mean Spanish and Portuguese, and even in Spain and Portugal, you'll find people that look a little mixed because that's right there on the northern west. It's not far from northwest Africa, where Morocco
Mm-hmm.
is at, and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always
Mm-hmm.
migrations back and forth from that part from Morocco, over to Spain. My grandmother
Right.
travel to Morocco. Morocco's Africa. That's where fucking what's his name? That rapper is from. You know who I'm talking about.
The
Forget
the, the man that was killed.
French Montana.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir.
Who was killed?
Yeah, Kendrick Lamar.
He wasn't killed.
No, I'm sorry, sir. I don't know these rappers. You have to excuse me.
Well, have you ever
I
seen French Montana?
apologize. You know the last rapper that was shot, that was gunned down. The most famous one recently that was gunned down in Los Angeles.
Triple X Tentacion.
No, he got
Oh,
his ass kicked
Quavo. Quavo. One of the Migos.
before him.
I don't know, but you ever
I'm
heard
sorry, sir. I apologize, sir.
French Montana is a
I'm
rapper.
sorry.
French Montana is a rapper that is from Morocco. He's from New York City, but his ancestry is Moroccan, and he looks like me, bro. He looks like my fucking family or some shit. Um,
Hmm.
and this is Africa, though, you know, and this is where a lot of my ancestry comes from. You know, it's that area. It's the
Hmm.
Iberian Peninsula. Pop Smoke. I was thinking Pop Smoke, but not Pop Smoke is from Brooklyn.
Nipsey Hussle.
Nipsey Hussle.
Nipsey Hussle.
Yeah, he was Eritrean Ethiopian.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, he was Ethiopian, right?
Yeah. Thank you. What's your name? My man Reno James, bro. He's always on point with the hip hop. He's on point with the hip hop stuff.
Thank
Uh,
you, sir.
yeah, we live in a whole society. Where have I seen that name before? I think I've seen this name before in my life. Pop Smoke was kind of dope, bro. I used to listen. I don't like a lot of this drill rap bullshit, but Pop Smoke
Mhm.
was kind of dope. It's sad. I was looking up his story before. I mean, not too long ago, and it's pretty sad. But the dude says the Yemenite kingdom was primarily converted to Judaism during the Hasmonean era, from what I've researched. Okay, so you see, it's a conversion because they haven't done DNA testing, and it's like you won't know just because somebody believes in the doctrine or has some Israeli or Israelite or Jewish customs. It's a custom. It's
Mhm.
a culture. It's like Eminem in the hip hop culture. It's like
Mhm.
it's okay. Hip hop is a black culture, but aren't white people all up in the hip hop culture? That don't mean that they're black. You know, it's like that
Right.
because anybody can convert. So that's how I look at religion. It's like that's the problem with these Hebrew Israelites trying to bring up. Oh yeah, well we found a group in Africa that they practice circumcision or they practice the Passover. They kept this custom. So what? It's a culture. Any
Right.
fucking race can adopt a culture. That
In
doesn't
fact, Africans are the most diehard Christians on earth, anyway.
and they be
Some
Muslim
of them.
too, like in Sudan. You see what's going
Yeah.
on in Sudan? Sudan is
No.
fucking is in a crisis right now. Nobody's talking about this shit here. I mean, it's world news, so it's like a lot of Americans don't focus on that.
What's going on over there?
Period. But yeah, Sudan is like they're going under regime changes and like the leader and his son are on some crazy shit right now. But I think like
Hmm.
they're mostly like there's a lot of Muslim, Africans and shit.
Hmm.
Like Ayan Hershey Ali is an atheist, um, Sudanese, I believe, or Kenyan. Damn man, we went over this already. But yeah, like they be on some
Hmm.
crazy shit out there, and Africa's a crazy ass continent. Man. It's like
Yeah.
you know I was looking at like they have some new like movie with they have Cleopatra portrayed as a dark skinned black woman, and Cleopatra wasn't a dark skinned black woman. She wasn't black. She
She
wasn't a
wasn't black.
black person. She was like a fucking Middle Eastern looking person. That's how she looked, man.
She
You know,
was Italian. Kind
oh,
of. I mean, her was.
Mediterranean and good, yeah, Italian, Greek, or something. That's right.
Yeah, Greek. She was actually Greek. Her
That's
father was Greek.
they got her portrayed as a black person now. Like
It's
Netflix.
ridiculous. I saw it.
Well, that's what's going on, man. Everything is like this is similar to Hebrew Israelite shit. And it's crazy how this Hebrew Israelite element of trying to make everything black Abraham Lincoln was black, they say. The first president was black. Shakespeare was black. Everybody was black. Jesus Christ was black. Cleopatra was black. And now you have people that are not Israelites. Netflix, woke motherfuckers, fucking BLM. They talk the same fucking way, bro.
In
It's
fact, I heard that a guy was going to sue Netflix because he said they're stealing my culture.
wow. Wow. The Bible constantly mentions other groups of people adopting Israelite custom and says they are required to follow the same law, right? The strangers amongst them. Cleopatra was
She
Greek.
was Greek.
Her dynasty horribly mistreated the native Egyptian. Yeah, for sure they did. Egyptian population, so that seems disrespectful to Egyptians. Yeah. But you see,
Yeah.
Egyptians after a certain dynasty were, were not dark skinned. There was a time in like 12,000 BCE where
Yeah.
it was like the Sudanese people, what they called Upper Egypt, which is really Lower Egypt. The people
Hmm.
that came from the southern part of Africa, of course, they were darker. You can almost see kind of like a color change, right? Where it gets from darker to lighter to a little bit.
Well, they ran them out though.
They ran them out. We're talking about the Middle East and the people. This is what happened with. This is what it seems like happened. From my understanding of human history, just um, civilization in the Middle East, which expands to Africa because Egypt is Africa, but it's it's mostly connected to that Levant area. It's
Hmm.
clear, like what started. This is what happened. I think this is what I get from the story of the human species and civilization. Man evolved from some type of ape-like human species, and this started in like Africa, in like Kenya area, somewhere in
Hmm.
Central Africa, pretty much. Um, and then years, of course, over the years, they've migrated further north to where it's not as hot.
Hmm.
Started going north, and over time, because of evolution, genetics and phenotype starts to change. And you can see it almost like a fucking puzzle, almost like a cascade of race going from a dark to a lighter to different shades, and it's almost like you see the change happen gradually the further you go north. So
Hmm.
as you start going to northern Africa, which is Egypt, you start seeing that now they're not quite black like they are in Kenya. They're blackish, where
Yeah.
they are
They have
dark.
long noses.
They have long noses. They're probably brown skin, but they
Hmm.
have straight hair. They
Hmm.
have different features, man. And
Hmm.
then also, what disrupts this is the civilization that I mean, because evolution happened all over the place. So you had evolution, you had civilizations pop up by the Tigris and the Euphrates River. And then they had been left Africa thousands of years ago, their ancestors. And then they started migrating back down to Africa, their
Hmm.
ancestors. So now these people started taking over or populating places like Israel, Yemen, and Egypt. And then you have the Greeks that came into power. They started fucking coming in and coming down the Mediterranean into Egypt. You have all this different variations of genetics and diversities of races, ethnicities that have come into Egypt over the years, where it has changed over the years. So now you have a different makeup of ethnicities, and it's just they're not black, man. It's not black. If you want to
Hmm.
be honest, well, how do we even define black? Black is a color, man. It's like this is not an accurate way of describing people. It's I mean it's an easy way to box people into a racial group, but it really doesn't do people justice, because now you got Israelites today that say, yeah, the Jews are black. Look, they went to Egypt and they were able to mingle amongst the people, and they could hide amongst the black people in Egypt because they were black. And it's like, no, they weren't black. They look like me. They look like Middle Eastern people, and that is why the Israelites were able to hide. Like what's his name? Joseph, right? They
Mm-hmm.
confused Joseph for an Egyptian. They confused Moses for an Egyptian. Why did they do that? Because the Israelites look like Egyptians. But how did the Egyptians look? Well, Egypt is in Africa. Egypt is not a some place in Tuscany. But they didn't fucking look white. They didn't look black either. There was a it was somewhere in between. It's like there's always a false dichotomy being presented by Israelites, whereas they make it seem as if Jesus Christ was black, he wasn't white. And it's like those are not the only two options. You know what I mean? What about
Right.
Middle Eastern? What about Asians? What about what they call Asia Minor? That's what the Middle
Right.
East, Asia Minor.
Well, see, that's an American thing,
Yeah.
because in America, everything is polarized as black or white.
Yeah. Yeah. Africa has the greatest genetic diversity on the planet, the dude says. It's true, man. Like
Mm-hmm.
people be like, oh, the country of Africa. It's like Africa is a continent. It's huge, man. You got South Africa. You got people that look like Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela looks like fucking he's Asian and shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Or Asians look like the people that probably evolved from Nelson Mandela's people group. That could be
Mm-hmm.
where Asians came from. Because
The
everybody from Africa. Look at how Mandela
Cody
looked.
San.
Mandela's eyes were like that, bro. It was like,
Yeah,
he don't look like a Kenyan. He don't look like somebody in the Ivory Coast, a Ghanaian. They
they look
don't.
Asian almost.
But yeah, it's. I mean, I love it, man. I love the diversity in the world, but Hebrew Israelites, they lie, man. And it's so crazy how it's similar to this woke shit where just like Hebrew Israelite says that, yeah, the Egyptians were black, man. That's why Moses was able to go and he could hide amongst them, and he could almost seem like an Egyptian, is because he was black, just like the Egyptians are black. Egypt is in Africa. Africa has black people. Like Africa is so diverse, man, and that's how they get people like that all the time, man. I think about that now, and I'm like, wow, they always spoke like that. Now look at,
Mm-hmm.
man, Cleopatra is black. Like
No, Cleopatra was like a white woman, like a white Jewish woman.
they
Damn
Elizabeth Taylor play Cleopatra. Is
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth Taylor is a dark, a brunette white girl.
Yeah, Liz is too the dark to play her too.
Say that again.
Liz was too dark too.
Elizabeth
Technically,
Elizabeth Taylor.
damn near.
I could see Cleopatra looking like that, but it's like
You
I
know
think
what though? She really did look like that though. I'm sorry.
yeah.
She really did look,
I think so. Like look at like Kim Kardashian. You
but
know,
she was a straight up white woman. Like Cleopatra was like a white woman, just a straight up
they
regular white woman.
do DNA testing on her. Well, I might be thinking of another Egyptian. They've done DNA testing on Egyptians, man. Egyptians weren't fucking. They didn't. They weren't Nubians. That's what they were called. Nubians used to run Africa back in like 1200 BC. We're talking about
Mm-hmm.
1200, 1300, 13,000. My bad. 13,000, 12,000 BCE. That's
Mm-hmm.
way before the time that Moses would have been well, I think it's even way before that. But
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, now they got, this is it's crazy what's happening now, where they're like appealing to that certain worldview and that mind state of the Hebrew Israelite, because it's like you got people like that Hebrew, like Hebrew Israelites that they're gonna speak out and protest. Oh, they got Cleopatra looking like a white woman, and it's like, yeah, that's
Cleopatra was white.
historically accurate. The Hebrew
Yeah, Cleopatra was a white woman,
the
straight up and down.
dude says the Hebrew Israelites always bring up the Arab conquest of North Africa as a reason why these people aren't black. But that fails because North Africa had long interactions with the Middle East before. Yeah, way before. You're right. That's why you have the stories of Abraham coming from Ur of the Chaldeans. Where did
Mm-hmm.
where's Ur of the Chaldeans? That's Sumer. That's up by the Tigris and the Euphrates.
That's
Assyria,
Iraq,
Amia. Yeah, modern day Iraq. That's
right?
there. And they
Noah's story took place in Turkey.
say that again?
Noah's story that comes towards the end in
Yeah,
Turkey.
exactly. Mount Ararat. That's where they
Right.
say that the ark landed at, right? Because
So how are the black people? What? How are the sons like? How are the sons even black at all? He ain't got no black
they say that
sons.
Canaanites are black because Canaan was a descendant of Ham, and Ham is supposed to be the progenitor of the dark races.
No, he's not. No, hell no,
Ah,
hell no, no. All those people were white people. All those if they're in Turkey, like if the story wraps up in Turkey, come
yeah,
on, man. Those are white people.
yeah. Egypt, Egypt has been ransacked, man. It's like you got Alexandria, you got the city of Alexandria, Egypt, which is named after
That's
Alexander.
Greek. Yeah,
That's Greek. They have a library there. They have an
right.
ancient. I would love to visit that shit because that's where a lot of this what do you call it, the Christians from Egypt. I forget what you call the Christians from Egypt.
Ah, yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
The
It's like,
Alexandrian Christians. Yeah.
yeah, it's like Arius. You remember Arius?
Yes.
He's the one that he was the one that pretty much inspired the whole Council of Nicaea, because Arian was a religion that was being pushed that was denying the divinity of Jesus, I believe,
Mm.
and they wanted to make a change because Arianism was being pushed like crazy. Um, I forgot what they called those types of. Damn, it's like right at the tip of my tongue. It's still a
I
lot
gotta
of them.
make a video about that.
Christians. There's Christians in Egypt.
Right.
Yeah.
But I gotta make a video about that because these people are saying that these people were just black Africans and they wasn't black at all. Like
The thing is that the what does the word black even mean? It's like,
right.
is Red Fox black? Is DJ Red Alert black? Like, like these cats are red. Like it's not even black. There's that red bone, right? Isn't that a thing in the
Right.
black red bone? It's like, what is that? What's a Creole? What's Beyonce? You know, Creole, whatever.
Okay.
Creole, right?
The dude, like
Mhm.
his comment is right here. Do you see it?
Who says Ham being the progenitor of black races isn't even from the Bible. It comes to rabbinic commentary in the Talmud from the Middle Ages, and that just became the mainstream view among Christians. Wow. Thank you, the dude.
Damn.
Thank you for your
Clean
input.
the house.
That's good because,
You clean the house.
oh, I mean, like historically, think about it.
Yeah.
Canaanites were in Israel, and
Right.
where the Israelites came from, the land of Canaan is the land of Israel, the land that flows with milk and honey. And the Bible tells a different story, because the people that wrote these stories weren't around when everything was really going down, so they were telling bullshit stories. You know, it's
Damn.
like they weren't around when the Israelites, pretty much came up as a people.
Hmm.
And it's like that's just a name that was, and it's like the genetics of Israelite, genetics of a Canaanite. It's the same thing.
Hmm.
Different, man.
Real talk. Real talk. Real talk.
Yeah. man.
Yeah, man.
I appreciate everybody's input. The dude is pretty much
The
giving us.
dude is, yeah, man. He cleaning house, man. He was cleaning house. He's cleaning house.
I like,
Damn.
yeah, because there's a lot of stuff I'm not too sharp, you know, and I'm like real.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth, I haven't been following up on a lot of this Hebrew Israelite stuff. I Kari videos that that are years old, man. And I'm like, let me get back on this Hebrew stuff because it's important to people to understand what the hell they're talking about and what's wrong with how they talk. And yeah, the dude he's putting it out there, man. He's making it clear and obvious and evident. What the at least what the consensus is amongst scholars, because Hebrew Israelites are not scholars. They claim to be scholars of the Bible, and they think that they claim to be able to debate anybody. And it's like every time you see them come up against people like Dr. Michael Brown, you see what's his name, Gorilla Hebrew, just fail. He just failed, bro. It's just he's not, and he doesn't address the issues with his doctrine whenever they get confronted, whenever it gets exposed. It's always like, okay, you get exposed and you get tried and checked, and then the rebuttal is, oh well, what about what you said? And it's like you're not addressing what this person just said. Now you're fucking trying to jump to another topic to try to win and to try to just get a W, When it's like, hold on, man. It's the same thing like what happened with when I called up the ISUPK, right? And I spoke to Captain Kataza, his white ass trying to be trying to lie like black and shit. Like you whiter than me, man. If he did his DNA, he looks Jewish, bro. He looks like fucking Michael Rappaport or some shit. He has reddish hair, bro. Like he is a fuck. That's what they say Esau look like. Red hair. This guy, it's insane. When I confronted him about the lies that they teach with the damn, what do they call it, the Father Nazario stones that were supposed to be this Hebrew alphabet or this Hebrew freaking alphabet on these stones, came out that it's not. Even though Hebrew Israelites are still teaching, Hebrew Israelites still teach like that it is. When it was like that was just a claim made by this fucking Catholic priest who they claim to be the devil, but no, because they agree with what you're saying. No, not he's saying the truth. But it's like you claim this guy to be, the Roman Catholic to be the devil, but when they talk like, or and this could have all just been like a way for this Father Nazario to just get some type of money, to try to claim like, look, I got
Mhm.
these valuable stones. You want to buy it and put it in a museum? And then when they tested it back then, they were like, this is not real. But then when they tested it today and they looked into it, they said, oh, this is valuable, but it's not Hebrew, but it's still valuable. It has historical value. I confronted this cat about that. He said, well, yeah, but if that's not true, what are you still going to say about everything else that all the other evidence? And it's like, yeah, they just love to jump from one thing to another. They can never admit when they're wrong. They take no responsibility or accountability for their lies and their fuck ups. And it's like you claim to be the ones dealing with God. You're not supposed to fuck up.
No,
Why are you
no.
fucking up? I have room for error because I'm just San Miguel, man. I'm not claiming like I'm inspired by God. I'm not claiming any of that shit. I'm
Right.
just a regular dude here, just trying to figure shit out. I don't have, but that doesn't mean that I'm not right about other things. I might be wrong about something at the moment. I was wrong.
See, my thing about them though, like my problem with them is that they don't eat. They also don't be leaving having their own businesses and stuff either.
Or owning property. Yeah.
Yeah, because Christ and them had business. I mean, Jesus had his own business.
How so?
Well, he was a carpenter.
Oh, Right.
That was one way like he ran his own business. He was also he owned his own temple. I mean, his own church or something like that.
But after a while, because this is something that Hebrew Israelites use to
Oh
try to get
yeah,
people out of their businesses, is, well, Jesus Christ said, "Leave everything behind and follow me." Or
yeah,
leave your family, leave your business, and just follow me. Hebrew Israelites use those scriptures to try to get people to become more devotional, more devoted,
yeah,
more
yeah.
devoted to their shit, and
Right.
to not focus on going to college. Don't go to college, brother. You're gonna learn the white man's doctrine, brother. That's what they were trying to take me to counsel, because I started going to college when I was in the church. They were trying to take me to counsel because
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't showing up as much anymore, and I had my
Mm-hmm.
responsibilities as a captain.
They do that on purpose, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So the dude says, Deacon claims he's a biblical and Talmudic scholar, yet admits he doesn't know any Hebrew or Aramaic, which is laughable. It's true, man. These cats don't know. If they had those stones in their possession, or any so-called archaeological evidence that there was Hebrew in America or whatever, they wouldn't know what the fuck to do with it, bro. They wouldn't know how to interpret it. So they have to go by these fake accounts or these fake fucking, the whatever reports of it being Hebrew. And it's like, it always, every time I looked into any of these things, from the Back Creek Stone to the what's the shit in Arizona, the I forgot what it's called, but or the Father Nazario stones, or the Ohio, what do they call it? The mounds, the Ohio mounds or whatever. There's a lot of different things that Hebrew Israelites try to use as archaeological evidence, because they try to claim like, oh, we're not just biblical scholars. We got the archaeology to back us up too. And it's like, no, you don't. There is no archaeology. Everything always goes back to some pseudo shit. But yeah, the stones, these stones, that's how you gotta be. It's a certain way you gotta word things, because this is how Katazao is trying to catch me, by trying to say, "Oh, you saying these stones ain't real? They've already told you. They've already decided that this shit is verifiable, historical." And it's like, yeah, it's historical, but it's not Hebrew. So it's real, but it's not Hebrew. So there's a certain way you got, like, when you debate and you talk to these cats, they'll try to catch you on every little thing. And then when you try to do the same thing to them, it's like you get called out for even doing that. But they always try to call you out for any little error or mistake that you make in verbiage. Because, like, I go back and I listen to some of these conversations I had with these cats, and I'd be like, damn, I should have said this, or I should have worded it this way, or I should have responded to that this way. And it's like, I mean, in time, man, you just get better. And I posted some of these videos today, going back and forth with Sakari. I wish I had the opportunity to go back and forth with IUIC, or even somebody from the ICGJC, but it's like they don't make themselves available at all, man. It's like they stay away from any type of exposure like that. They want to keep everything hidden, like it's like your typical fucking scams. It's like your typical, you know, um, little fucking, yeah, little small time scams and schemes. It's like you don't want to get that much exposure. You just want to get enough money to where you can live and survive, but you don't want to get all out there and be exposed to where people now start noticing you, because now they're gonna start researching you. That's what happened with Tazadakia. He got too big. They started researching him, and they're like, "This cat, who is this cat?" They found all this illegal shit that he was doing. That's his own fault.
Yep.
Daniel seems to be more clean cut. I don't know, man. He's a former NYPD detective. I know that.
I think Tazadakia was also more impulsive too. Wouldn't
Yeah,
you think so?
was very impulsive, man, and aggressive and
Hmm.
more street. Nathaniel had that experience and that, that
Cunning.
NYC training.
Yeah.
You know, so he's gonna be more calculated in what he does. Killer B, the Witchfinder General, went live with me one time, and he has a personal story where he was in camp with the ISUPK, and it's amazing. I believe it was the ISUPK, but Nathaniel was there, and they're out in the streets, and Nathaniel was the head of the camp. Now, when you're head of the camp, you got to be the one to address any issues that come up. Like I was telling you the story about the dude from IUIC that approached the camp. I had to take him to the side because there was
Hmm.
somebody already on the mic. So I was like, let me take this cat to the side and deal with this. When you're head of a camp, that's what you do. They're out in the camp. It's Killer B and Nathaniel's ahead, and the cops come up because there was some situation that popped off, and all of a sudden Nathaniel gets all like he doesn't even want to address any of this shit. He gets all quiet and he's just like looking to the side, in a Maghrib Shabbat or whatever, not wanting to deal with what he had to deal with. But I guess he didn't want to confront the police because he was already in the police, force at that time. He's NYPD. He was not only NYPD, just officer. He was a detective. Now that's big. And the fact that he became the leader of an Hebrew Israelite organization is very, very suspicious to me. Very weird.
Hmm.
Not to get no conspiratorial, but this is weird.
Mm.
So what up, man? You want to close it out? Any last statements you want to say?
No, no, not a one.
All right, man. Well, I'm gonna close it out, man. It's we going on 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes, 17
Thank
minutes.
you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for coming on, and thank everybody else that came on and gave their 2 cents and their experiences, like Cena Martin, who I'm very familiar with. The dude, thank you for all your information, for chiming in. Everybody that chimes in, Reno James, you're the man. You already know I got mad love for you. D, you always come through. Redskin, thank you for your craziness. Hail Stan, everybody that commented. Juanita Harris too. Juanita Harris got some history with the ICGJC. Man, there's it's crazy, man. Just going through like these names and seeing like how everybody chimes in. We live in a whole society. Thank you for coming through. I appreciate you. But yeah, there's a lot of familiar people that y'all keep showing me support, and I appreciate that. And thanks a lot, man. Thanks for joining, Jason Creed again.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Well, yeah. Have a good night, man. And everybody else, I'll be back soon. TV signing out. Peace out. Shabbat shalom. All right.